learning from each other. And Bob Goff said one time, who's an author, the goal isn't for my spouse to look more like me or me to look more like my spouse, but for us to look more like God.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's so much of God that I see in you that I've learned and gleaned from. And thankfully I get to look like him because of you. And I think that's where the ebb and flow is coming in.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because there's that like familiar common saying of like marriage is compromise, and I don't agree with that at all, because like we don't compromise into the image of Christ,
right?
We're transformed into that.
Hey,
you feel me?
That's good.
You feel me? Hey, dab me up, camera. What's up? Yo, what's good? I'm Tavior Mowry.
I'm Zandy Mowry.
And this is the Mowry podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's good to see you. We have some questions, right?
It's good to see you. That threw me off.
What you mean? Good to see you or see them?
Well, you said good to see you, and it's like I'm looking at the camera.
I know,
but I understand.
I'm speaking, you know what I'm saying, to somebody
no,
right
you
now.
are.
Somewhere.
And it is good to see you. Thanks for listening.
Good to see you.
Right. I just get caught up in stuff like that.
What, like the literalness? The literal?
Yeah, it's literal, and it's just like part of what we have to do to like engage people. Yeah. And it feels genuine.
Yeah.
Because it is genuine.
Yeah.
But it also takes like a bit of imagination on our end.
Absolutely.
Because we're talking to a camera.
Yeah.
But as a portal, if you will, to talking to a person.
Oh, for real.
So
like sometimes when I go live, I just imagine I'm FaceTiming someone I love. And it makes it way less weird.
Informative, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe not informative. Like, this is not a natural thing. Like, I'm talking to groups of people with zero feedback. Like,
no laughter,
body language, no nothing. So, like, you're kind of almost like a spectacle to some sense. And it's like, well, maybe if I tap dance to stage, it's just like, nah, bro. Like,
that's never been me. I'm not about to tap dance. No.
Facts. Like, I'm just going to be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And, like, y'all are welcome to experiences. Yeah. But I guess in this sense, it's more of an intentional conversation. Hence the, like...
And people really interact with this. So it is good to see you. I agree with what he's saying. And I just went through that all those thoughts zipped through my head where I was like, this is such a unique experience.
I agree.
Because we're talking amongst ourselves. And it makes me think about people who do podcasts by themselves.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Is that just like a person just gassing?
Yeah.
Huh.
Do you know who B. Simone is?
I'm familiar with her.
She has guests on sometimes, but sometimes she'll just like...
Be talking?
One, yeah. Mostly like inspirational, like she's a believer, so, you know, like kind of encouraging stuff towards the listener.
Oh, that's
so it's
dope.
not like...
It's like an edifying.
Yeah, it's not like...
Speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like she's just like, one time I went to the store and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, to whoever's listening to this, you know what I mean? This is what I want to
Sometimes I'll be on TikTok and a dude will just start praying for me. He'd be like, hey, and I'm like, what's up? And he just starts praying and I start praying too.
I sometimes feel weird about stuff like that. I don't always stop. I'm rarely on TikTok. But sometimes I'd be like, nothing.
Hey, if anybody's praying, bro, like,
but
for
to
me,
who?
Or like, yeah, because he could take like
That's
a crazy left. But he mentioned Jesus real quick, and I was like, all right, for sure.
Some green flags.
Yeah, facts. Yeah,
anyway,
no, there's some crazy stuff on TikTok too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's all portals, you know?
Facts.
And so I'm like, you're not about to get me. What you're not about to do is get me. But last week, I went on Instagram and asked people like, hey, what would you want to know in the podcast? And got a ton of response. This sounds like I'm lying when people be like, so many people have asked me. But that's not, I am telling the truth. We got a lot of questions. So many that I think I'm going to like separate them into like a question podcast. And we'll do, I'm just spitballing here, but a genre of questions and then a normal podcast and then another genre of questions. Because if we tried to answer all of them right now, one, it would be a 6-hour long podcast because there are some really like stunning questions.
Facts.
But then two, we wouldn't we wouldn't be able to get to all of them if we wanted to make it within like the 45-minute hour thing. So, I'm going to start with the good old story. People want to know, how did you guys meet?
Fun fact: the first ever Mowry episode was
this story.
The story of how we met,
and we were like,
and I looked back at her and I was like, ain't nobody trying to listen to this.
Well, I don't even think we looked back at it. I think we like turned the camera off and then we were like, nah, yeah. Which I don't even know. I've never watched it back, but maybe people were more interested than I thought.
I don't know.
I think it was a good call. Like we knew how we wanted to start, and this feels more natural than just like launching it.
Facts. And this is like the 10th episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, when it comes out.
Yeah. Nice. That means we've been doing it for 10 weeks.
Consistent.
Straight. Okay, how did we meet?
There's two sides to this story. The sides of the story go like this, right? They run parallel with one another, then they break off.
That's not
and
true.
And then they come back together. Yes,
the story of how we met?
How we met is kind of correlated with how we got together.
No. The question is, how did you guys meet? There's not two
you slid into my DMs.
That's not even true.
See? Now we have our two separate sides already.
You really think... You're just trying to put on the show.
How we met.
You think I slid into your DMs?
How we start talking.
I commented on a photo.
I know, but how we start talking.
You slid into my DMs. Exactly. Like, why would...
What do you mean by that?
So, I saw Tavier's page on Instagram. Thought he was cute. Actually, I saw your page. Like, let's say 2000... When did you go to college?
20... I think we started talking in 2015. That's
really?
When I was in school. That's when we had that first, like, encounter.
15?
Yeah, because I graduated in 16.
It's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But, like, we weren't talking like that.
The question is, how did you meet? I don't know why you
I was, like, 24. Going on 25.
Oh, I thought you were saying the year 24. No. I was like... The question is, how did you meet, though?
Yeah, that's how we met.
Anyway, I saw his Twitter first, is what I'm saying. Then he came up on my Instagram. He was playing guitar. And so I knew... I've always been pretty confident in my ability to grab the attention of anybody that I wanted. I'm not saying don't read into it, but I've just never been the girl, like, he's out of my league. Like, I'm in everybody's league. And I've always thought that. Shout out to, I think my dad is the reason I think that way. Like, he taught me that, like, the worst thing they can say is no. Right. You know what I mean? And I just, no, it doesn't offend me, so everything is kind of for me in my head.
That's such a beautiful mindset.
Yeah.
Just, like, embracing no.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. But.
Well, because I've learned it's not towards me. It's just towards the question.
Yeah, but, like, a lot of people can't or haven't necessarily developed that skill of understanding, like, this is not a no to you or
your ability, your character,
who you are. It's just like, nah, this just doesn't work for me.
This situation.
Yeah. But a lot of people get hung up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm blessed that I didn't. And so, like, putting myself out there with guys was never like, oh my gosh, I don't know. What if they say no? I was like, if they say no, then they say no. But I also didn't think they were gonna say no. Anyway, so I comment on his like, he's playing guitar in this video. He'll post it later.
I don't know where. Actually, I probably do know where that is.
It just made a little screenshot.
Terrible guitar playing.
And I asked him, "What's in your chain?" So for guitar players, that we have, when you're playing electric guitar, there's like a pedal board and there's like different effects that you can run your guitar through. And I knew that question was gonna be like specific enough, like unique enough to like garner attention. I cared about what was in his chain about 40%. I'll say that. The other part was definitely trying to get like noticed.
Playing games.
Shortly after, he responded back, followed me.
10 moves ahead.
And
Queen's Gambit.
And then, that's how we originally interacted. Like, that was our first kind of interaction. And then and like it's like the story is starting to be worn in my head. I'm like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
But then he messaged me about an amp because he knew we played, like knew I was in a band. He was into music, and we started. And he like asked me like, hey, like what kind of amp should I get, right?
Mm-hmm.
For something.
Mm-hmm.
He was just looking for something new, and I was like, oh, you should get a Blue Stinger, which is fun fact. That's what. Oh, that's on your side. That's what that is.
This isn't the
this
literal
isn't the,
amp. That's in my studio though. The
but it's
amp.
the
model.
The model of the amp. And we kind of started just talking about gear and guitars and music and Nashville versus LA, music scene in both areas. And then my next play was to send him one of my guitar pedals. So we were talking about guitar tones and stuff. And then I was like, oh, you should do such and such with an overdrive. And then he was like, oh, I don't have one of those. And I was like, I have an extra one if you want me to send it to you. And he was like, oh, man, that would be dope. And then I was like, do you have like a P.O. box? I had to be, like, I didn't want to seem stalkerish.
Y'all listen to this
game.
No, not game. This borderline manipulation.
No, it's all about longevity. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, how do I? Because I was never going to be like too forward. You know what I mean? But I also needed to be interesting.
Yeah, but carry on with your play on how to get my phone number.
Yeah. So I sent him the guitar pedal. He was like, I don't have it. I don't have a P.O. box, but here's my address. And I was like, okay, cool.
Crazy.
I know.
Very crazy.
For you. I would not suggest that. People who are younger and meeting online do not do that.
Granted, I was living in Richmond, and I was like, there's not that much worse that can happen around where I'm staying right now. So, whatever. This is where my house is. Where I'm living.
Yeah, good thing I didn't, pull up.
Yeah, fact. That's good for you. That neighborhood was kind of wild.
But I'm saying, that people are so crazy. I could have been crazy.
That's a fact. You could have been.
I could have been crazy. I could have been, a super fan. Just trying to get to you. You didn't, and you were just out here trying to get a guitar pedal.
Hey, got risky for the biscuit.
So then, I sent in the pedal, and I said, I didn't pay for the tracking, so just text me when you get it. And he was like, I don't have your number. And I was like, oh, you don't? No worries.
Dang, I'm so, you don't even have to pay for tracking.
You do. You did at that time.
Oh.
It was they were like, do you want to pay extra so you can do something?
I was about to say.
That would have been crazy. I never lied. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So then I get a number. A couple days later, he texts me and it's like, hey, got the pedal. And I didn't have his number. So, because he didn't actually send me his number. He just took mine.
For sure.
Yeah. Don't play it like that.
I give you my address. You could go find me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
We good.
So then, he texted me and was like, got the pedal. And I was like, who's this? I don't have his number saved.
Unless you randomly sending out pedals.
You don't know me, so I could have been.
Yeah, I don't know you.
From then... So then, we started texting and talking, and I kind of veered the conversation away from music. And he was very quick to be like, I was like, what do you like to do for fun? He was very quickly like, I go to church, hang with my girl, do blah, 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 do blah, blah, blah. So it was in a list of other things that a girl was mentioned. And so I was like, okay. So he either has a girl or he's trying to play it because he said talk with my girl. So I was like, or he's trying to play it in a flirty way to where I'm the girl. Either way, this is kind of, I don't know what's happening, so maybe I'll back up. And I think I said tell me more about your girl, and he gave me details of somebody who obviously wasn't me. So from that point
I've always thought, because what if it was you?
That would have felt crazy to me. I vividly remember.
But you were already coming off with some wild energy, so
no, mine was way more
been
stealth.
In the same
Mine was way more stealth.
But that would have been in the same line as your intentions. No.
Maybe, but it would have had no.
So I'm talking to my girl. She got an afro. She plays guitar.
That's what I'm
She's
saying.
from Nashville.
That would have been like, hey, okay. Like, you know what I mean? That feels a little possessive soon.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why I'm
super
like,
red flag.
Super, yeah.
Alright,
So I
I
was
can
like,
see, I can
either
see.
I'm the girl and it's a
That
red
makes
flag,
sense.
or he has a girl and I need to back off.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Turns out he had a girl, and so we just after that I was like, I'm nobody's homewrecker. You know what I mean? And I respect him and whoever the girl is. So
And it was always copacetic. Like the conversation
no, and
was
that's what I said.
exclusively around music.
Yeah, on Instagram, exclusively around music. And then when I veered the conversation, he's the one who was like, I have a girl, essentially. Like, he wove it into the conversation very quickly. So then we just went back to kind of like the Instagram topic, which was just music.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I was on tour at the time. And so he was like, let me know if you ever come this way. And then randomly we talk about guitar pedals or guitars, like just random stuff. Music related. Fast forward, that's 2015?
Around that, yeah.
Fast forward to 2018.
No, 2015, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
2018. No, end of
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You moved back to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting ready to record our first album in LA. But I think that winter there was like some fires, extreme fires in LA. Now I'm not familiar with California like that, so I didn't know how close or far Tay was to them. But I did know that he had just moved back. And so I texted him and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're close to fires, but hope you're okay and let me know if you need anything. And then he was like, I think that time it was when you and your mom had to evacuate, I think.
Yeah.
And you're like, it was close because of the air quality, we had to leave, but we're all good. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he asked me if we had a show out there. I said, no, but I am coming to the studio in January, like the top of the year. If you want to pull up, you can hear music. I still, in this whole time, I'm still thinking, obviously he's cute, but he has a girlfriend, so I just didn't pursue anything like that. So then, this is where our stories start to split. Over in the text message, before I even got there, he's like, would you want to get dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, yes or no?
Yep. Would you like to get some food?
Would you like to get some food when you're here? And I was like,
mind you, very food.
that is true. I'll give that.
So like, if we're
Very
making
food
plans, food is coordinated with.
But the plan was for you to come to the studio.
Right, but I'm also about to eat some food though.
Okay.
Either before or after, because if you would have said, nah, I'm straight, I would have for sure ate before I went to the studio.
Mm-hmm. And at the time you're working at CarMax, right?
Yeah.
So there was like a window probably.
Right. And also, I'm fasting. So I'm not eating until sundown.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
Great. So he says, do you want to get food while you're out here? And I said, don't you have a girlfriend? You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, that ended some time ago. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I'm not sure how he's asking. Again, we're practically strangers. We've talked about music, but it's all been over the phone. So it's like, I don't know anything about this man. He doesn't know anything about me. So as far as character and intentions are concerned, like at that time, it was all up in the air. So it was cool to see, kind of like telling the story back. Like you had a very pure and clean intention with saying like, I have a girlfriend. And then I had a good intention with being like, don't you have a girlfriend? You know what I mean? What?
Just think it's funny.
Why?
Come on.
That's a good thing.
No,
people should do that.
100%.
So why are you laughing?
I just think you're funny.
I know. So he said no, and so I was like, okay, cool. So we made plans to, after one of the days in the studio, go get ramen. So we come to the studio. It was a very weird. I still remember it. We're in Burbank. That's the studio I was recording in. And he called me for the first time. And this is the first time I'm on a phone call with you.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think I'm in the right spot, but where is it? I remember. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think I see you turn around. So he turns around and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just such a weird thing. After 2 years of interacting with this person all over social media. And we had obviously seen each other and heard each other's voice, but the in-person thing was weird. And then you had on a backpack.
Why did I have on
It's
a
like,
backpack?
why is he wearing a backpack?
That was back in those days. That me and Froggy, my friend, Froggy, Sean, his nickname is Froggy. Like, we were just under the impression that, like, if anything at any time were to pop off, I'm gonna at least be solid because I have my backpack. And granted, like, my backpack wasn't big, but my homie Froggy for a while used to carry the big backpack always.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why I had mine. Did I have my laptop? Maybe I just didn't want to get it stolen.
I know you're coming from work, so I don't know.
I did have a backpack.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I doing? Anyway, continue.
Those are like two things that stood out. I was like, okay, he's really handsome, and he has on a backpack.
Man, I missed that backpack.
The like
gray
navy
one?
Was it kind of green though?
It was gray. Wait, I don't know. Whatever.
Okay,
Keep
it was
going.
3 colors. We meet. I think we awkwardly hugged. Yeah, like, and then one of the first things I said was, "How do you pronounce your name?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it's like Tavior.
Yeah, but I just didn't know. Yeah, and then that was kind of it. Then we go. I think I was still working because I was working later than I anticipated. Finish the session.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Dap up Darius.
Darius is my brother.
First time.
Do you remember that?
I
Meeting
do.
him? Yeah. So funny.
He's
They're
just looking at me
very
like-
close now.
He's looking at me like, I was like, what's up, bro? And I was just like, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Yeah. And I finished the session, and then I get in this man's car. I do not recommend that. Now, obviously, praise God, you know, we were who we were. And obviously now we're married and, you know, have a kid together. So it's like, we were good people. But I would never tell somebody a woman to like fly across the country, meet the person for the first time, and then get in this man's car. You don't really know him like that. So my brother was like, turn your location on, you know what I mean? Let me know if you need anything. And then we went and got dinner.
Yeah, ramen. Excuse me.
Yeah. And it felt like a movie. Like, it was like, just, we were outside. It's California, so the weather's perfect. There's like hanging lights. I remember I had on a denim jacket with patches on it. You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
My Levi's jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never really been to like a ramen place like that. Obviously, Nashville's kind of like behind when it comes to things like that. So I had ramen before, but never at a restaurant. So he kind of like talked me through the menu. He was like, definitely order two. He was like, you have to order 2 portions of the noodles because you'll run out and then you'll have more broth and you'll need to. And I was like, I'm
still in like football zone, so I'm like, oh yeah, you're about to eat like a lineman, but we're good. I got you. You won't be hungry at the end of this.
I was like, okay. It didn't even touch the second serving of the noodles.
know.
But we had a great, to me, date.
It wasn't a date. It was not a date.
And this is where our story.
And this is the exact place where the story.
It was a date.
It wasn't a date. It wasn't a date.
So
I told you we got something to eat because I was fasting and I was super hungry. Now, in the middle of the dinner, I went to the bathroom and I distinctly remember looking in the mirror and being like, should I pay for this? I think I should probably pay for this. And then when I walked outside, I was like, okay, like, I'm going to pay for the dinner. Because, like, in my mind, I thought we was just going to split it because it was like, this is not a date. But then I was like, hold up. Who's this woman that's sitting across from me? I can't let her out of my sight. So, like, let me...
So then it turned.
Change it on the fly.
Okay.
To, like, let me pay for this. I'm starting to open up all the doors. You know what I'm saying?
I just don't know in what definition that's not a date.
Because I feel like it's the intention.
And so, like you said, in the bathroom, your intention switched to a date.
Not to a date, but kind of like taking it the next level.
It's just insane. Y'all see what I'm saying? So we got ramen. We left. Oh, I remember at ramen. I was like, so what happened to your ex? and he literally choked on his food.
Ask me this question mid bite of ramen, like, what are you talking about right now? Like, and I didn't know Zandy like that, Miss Forthright. But
Now
now
that
I
makes
do.
sense.
Oh yeah, I'd be like, come on, let me finish this.
Yeah. I'm never like curious. I never stay curious. If I want to know something, I'm gonna find out. So we had a great time. I remember was it the first date that we went to the store?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was after dinner.
But I was like, I think I need some tea for the studio. Can we run by Ralph's before you take me back to the Airbnb?
She didn't need no tea.
I didn't. I needed good light for a picture. So
That's one thing Zandy gonna get is a picture.
I think I still have it.
I have it. We have it printed out. It's on our nightstand.
Is it? Well, yeah, I still have that photo, but I think you paid for that too.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Let me get those tea bags.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
Oh, $3? I got you.
So then he dropped me off. We kind of like the goodbye. I remember it feeling like.
Yeah, it was definitely
like there's obviously some sort of tension, but we're
like
not gonna
tension,
act on it. Yeah. The following day, he came back to the studio.
I was invited back to the studio.
Yes, you were invited back to the studio. I was like,
it
you
wasn't like I'm pulling back up. It was like, are you coming back tomorrow? And I was like,
no. It was like, you can come back tomorrow.
No, you said, are you coming? I wish my phone could go super far back and we had this text thread.
I still have the text thread.
Okay, we gonna have receipts.
Yeah,
hopefully,
sure.
And we gonna post them in here.
Okay. So he came back. I had a lot of tracking to do that day. I was like in the booth the whole time tracking guitar, so I didn't really hang out with him. But he hung out with Lexi and
tracking
Darius.
is recording.
Yes, Lexi and Darius and Jasmine, my cousin. And I remember when you're recording, you have headphones in so that you can hear like what you're doing and hear the click track, so that you're playing in time. And because you're in a different room most of the time, your producer, whoever you're working with, has a button that's called Talkback, and they say like, give you notes, hey, let's try this next time or whatever. But that button means I can hear into the room that they're in. So I was in the studio booth, so I'm very isolated until Darren like would hit the button. And every time that he hit the button to like give me a note, I would hear like Tave and Darius and Lexi like laughing. And I was like, I'm just trying to focus and get this right so I can get out of this booth that I'm obviously missing. I think we barely had any time together that day because you ended up having to leave for church.
Yeah, I was playing at church at the time.
So then, last day of the studio, he texts me and is like, I'd love to see you again before you before you leave, but I know you're here to work, so do what you got to do, but no matter how late, I'm down to see you if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how late, just put that together. He's like just posted up outside the studio. He picks me up. We go to one of his friend's birthday parties for a hot second. Then we went and got dinner. And then we went to, was it PCH?
We went to Malibu.
Malibu, okay.
It was on PCH runs along the coast, but we took that to go to Malibu because we wanted to see the beach.
Okay. I wanted to see the beach, so we just hung out until late. Because I was leaving the next day. Still nothing. We obviously were like feeling each other at that point. But he dropped me off at the house. Long hug goodbye. That was pretty much it. Now, he had a Android at this time. No shade to any Android users. But
green bubble energy.
Because of that, we didn't have like FaceTime. So I downloaded WhatsApp and
making it happen.
The next day when I got back to Nashville, we like FaceTimed and talked for a little bit, and then that was.
We never stopped talking.
We never stopped talking after that.
And now we're married with a kid.
Now we're married with a kid.
The best kid.
I know. He's great. But that's how we met.
Where is the other questions?
What are the other questions? Did you have any objections other than the first date?
Yeah, that's about it.
Oh.
I think I was like just knew who you were when I met you. More so at that dinner, I was like, oh, who is this woman? Like, she's knocking off all the boxes. And you were just so different. I was like, oh, whatever I need to do, I would do it. Hence, driving across the country, moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
Because I was a little too stubborn back then, but I was like adamant about not moving to LA.
Would you move to LA now?
I would move to LA now. I don't know that I would want to move to LA.
I don't necessarily know if I'd want to either.
Okay.
But would you?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Like, I'd be sad. But I would be.
I know. That would be... It would have... Yeah.
If it made sense, then it would make sense.
Yeah. No, but I'm not even saying, like, from a make sense, like, financially, but, like, even the community-wise.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, my family's there, which is beautiful, and I love that. And also just, I don't know, there's just so many people in our lives and the way that we operate where it's like, there's really a community of family that's extended outside of just blood.
And I will say that was my argument back in the day, and you would be like, you can get community here. Do you remember that?
You can, but I don't know.
That's what
COVID did some things.
That's true.
COVID did some things. And I'll leave it at that.
That's true. This person says, I was trying to read the name, but I can't.
It's okay. You can just read the question.
What was a key to a healthy long-distance relationship?
Communication.
Yeah. So we were long distance for like 2.5 years before he moved to Nashville. Yeah, communication. That's all you have. And, like, benefit of the doubt. There's so much, like, that you don't know contextually unless the other person tells you. So it could have been like, I have a headache. And so that's why my responses are short, because I'm on tour in the van and it's making me dizzy to be on the phone. But he is not with me, so all he sees is like, okay. And he's like, did I say something? Did I do something? You know what I mean?
Hit me with a K? Crazy.
I was trying to be generous.
I used to hit you with K's?
When you were mad.
Yeah.
Like almost over communicating, not in like an annoying way, but just in like there's no other way for people to like know your body language or read the room. So you have to be like, I had a long day today and my brain is kind of fried. And then the other person's like, okay, that totally makes sense. I'm not going to ask you a deep question right now. You know, I can just ask what you're thinking about for dinner or who you're hanging out with or, you know.
Did you ever have any fear about the energy or vibe being different when we would be together in person as opposed to like the vibe on the phone or like calls?
No, because we started, technically our dating life started in person.
Right.
And then,
it wasn't like
yeah, it wasn't like we're talking for months on the, you know.
Honestly, if we wouldn't have met in person, I don't know if we would have been.
Yeah. And randomly that year, I had so many shows on the West Coast.
Yeah. That was so
like,
fire.
Yeah.
I need that.
So I was out there like at least once a quarter for work, and then I would also like come and visit, or he would visit me. So yeah, communication and vulnerability. Like, don't assume that the other person knows what you're thinking or feeling. You just got to communicate everything. But that also, and it helps, that muscle bleeds over into a non-long distance relationship, and it just like, it helps. Okay, how did you know you were ready to graduate from being in a relationship to being married?
Graduation. How did you know?
Yeah, how did you know? I was ready way before he was.
Facts. Remember?
No, I wouldn't do all of that quite yet. Yeah.
Remember? Wait, hold on. So, like, this was after I moved to Nashville. So like I moved to Nashville in 2020, January 2020. It hit the fan in like March. We got engaged in July and married.
Oh, I wonder what day that was. The 27th?
September, something like that. Married in September. But I remember I was trying to buy a Gibson acoustic guitar.
Was it?
And I was showing Zandy like, should I buy this? And you were like, what'd you say?
I think I was like, I'll buy you the guitar if you buy me a ring.
A ring. Yeah, and I was just like, oh. But that conversation really lit a fire in me because at the time, like that was probably the biggest thing that was holding me back, was more so scraping together the bread for the ring. I ended up pawning a guitar and just doing what I needed to do to get some more bread. And but before then, I obviously drove across the country from California to Nashville, a 30-hour drive in 36 hours. So I was focused. I knew what I wanted, but also we had, I guess, matured to a level to where I was like comfortable with that. Like I didn't have any second guess about it. Was that a woman asking that question or was that a dude?
I think a dude.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's good. I asked that because it's like at the end of the day, the thing that's changing the status of a relationship is the man that's being like, hey, let's go do this. Now, there are some cases where women propose to men. I've heard of those things before. I'm not going to say anything about that because I don't know nothing about that. I can only speak on my own experience. I feel as though what was established in my heart was this woman, I want her to be my wife. I know that I want to build my life with her. I know that she supports me and I support her. I also want her to be the mother of my children. So I was taking all of these things into account while we were dating. And not only like, I wasn't dating just to date. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Because like my intention was like, yo, I'm trying to find a wife. Like that's what this is about. I'm not about to be playing no games. And I'm not here just trying to have fun. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a vibe and do like a little spring, summer thing. And then it like fizzles out. It's like, no. I'm trying to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with and build something together. So that's what was important to me. And when I found somebody that was meeting all these, I don't want to call them standards, but these desires in my heart, and someone that was willing to be, I guess, like, to grow with me and was open to supporting me and open to me supporting her, I was like, oh, for sure. Like, I can definitely do this. Yeah. And as time progressed, I continued to pursue, you know what I mean? And the pursuit doesn't stop even after marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question because I knew really early on that I wanted to marry him. We met in January and I knew in March, April.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I also didn't, I would never, like, I don't question myself a lot, which is sometimes a bad thing. But also, it just is like, if I'm feeling like God is doing something, then I just go for it. I'm not like, well, what about? And I think we probably could have talked ourselves out of getting married when we did. Because we got married in the middle of COVID and circumstances weren't straightforward. So it wasn't like, logically, this is the best decision. But like, spiritually, we knew. So it was like, let's just figure it out together. And I don't regret that at all. But if I had to boil it down to like a practical list, I would say, how do you know you're ready to get married would be, one, what is God saying? As far as the quality of the person that you're with. Two, like ask him to like search your heart and search your motives and be like, why do I want to step into this next season?
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything that I'm running towards that I should be waiting for? And then 3, like, am I waiting too long? Should I have been married? You know, like, is there anything that I'm waiting for because I'm scared? Is there fear telling me you're not ready, and you are more than capable to have a healthy marriage? Like, so it's like knowing the answers to hearing, like, can you hear God clearly? And then also, can you hear when he's saying go or stay? Because I think a lot of people rush marriage, absolutely, but I think a lot of people delay marriage too. And they're like, nah, for men, it's like, no, I don't have the money that I want. For women, it's like, no, I don't look the way I want to. Or no, we don't have enough money for the wedding that I always dreamed of. And that stuff just doesn't matter because life happens. And one day, you could do everything you want on your list, get married, and the next day lose it all. And that's not because, like, I don't say that in a scary way, but just in a way that's like, it's so unpredictable, you have to be tethered to something and someone outside of this world instead of always measuring your own, like, thoughts by things in the world, so that you can just steady no matter what the world throws at you.
Facts.
Which kind of, we learned that in COVID.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more.
How long do you think we've been running?
Maybe 30?
Let me check. Oh, it's 44.
How are you gonna do? Are you just gonna keep that in there?
Yeah. Yo, this episode's been sort of long. Or do you want to keep rolling?
No, let's just do one more.
All right,
that
we're
feels...
gonna do one more. Okay.
Is marriage what you thought it would be?
Nope. But it's been great though. It's been better than my expectation. Is it perfect? No. But like, what is in this life? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Outside of Christ. I do.
What I thought it would be. Sorry, I'm thinking about the question.
I do feel like marriage can be an incredibly beautiful thing, or it could be your worst nightmare. Mm-hmm. And I say that because, like, the tool in which God uses marriage for, it's like multi-purpose. One of the functions of it is to sharpen each other. And if someone is not, like, willing to embrace the sharpening or the pruning, mm-hmm. like, it's painful probably for this plant to get chopped off. You know what I'm saying? Like, this needs to be pruned. This is growing kind of crazy right now, and I have to cut it, and that's gonna hurt. You know what I mean? But in order for obviously this plant doesn't bear fruit, but for a plant that does bear fruit, when you prune it and you train it to grow in a certain way, it grows even more fruit than it would if you would have just left it on its own. And we're the same way. There's so many parables in the Bible that refer to Jesus as the vine dresser, as the vine. A lot of parables with plants and trees. And I believe through marriage, like, Zanny pricks things in me that need to be addressed. But if I resist addressing those things, we're going to be doing this. And it's not going to stop. Mm-mm. It will not stop. Which is why I said, like, this could be a nightmare. Because you're not submitted to what the Spirit is doing.
Right.
And then also it can very much so be a nightmare if y'all aren't evenly yoked. Because it would be not a cool time if we weren't on one accord and moving in the same direction. But instead, you're like, I want to go that way. And I'm like, no, let's go this way. That's just tension rather than us moving in unison with one another.
Yeah. That might be another way to look at if you're ready to get married or not in your relationship. It's like, can y'all communicate? Can y'all disagree? Can y'all get back on the same page? Mm-hmm. You know? Because you're going to need that times a million in marriage. I
just got one more thing.
Yeah.
Like, dang, I wish this amplifier was plugged up because I would love to just play the guitar and then play it when it's plugged through the guitar amp, because this is what marriage is. Like, you're the guitar playing on the couch. It's not going to be that loud, but the moment you plug it into the guitar amp and you turn it on, this joint is going to be shaking things. It's so loud.
Right.
And that's what marriage does. It amplifies anything and everything. So if y'all got great communication, your great communication is just going to go through the roof.
Yep.
If y'all got some issues, them joints is going to get blown all the way out. And
we had both.
Yeah, everybody has both.
Yeah.
Have. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's like, what's more or less? That's really the thing, because since everything is getting blown out, it's all getting blown out in the same proportion. Mm-hmm. So the good outweighs the bad, which allows us to take care of the issues. Right. But if the issues are more than like the good,
it's gonna be real loud and real aggressive.
It's gonna be real loud. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'd say no also, and I think it's because of, the unmet expectations we're talking about, and the unspoken expectations that we all have around marriage. And so there's things in my world that I was like, dang, when I get married, this will happen. Before Tavior, like long before him, just in my imagination, there was like, oh, I can't wait to get married because then I can do this with my spouse. Or I can't wait to get married because it's going to feel like this. And he had the same things. But then when you put a real person in that equation where you just had X before, like, they have ideas and they have thoughts and they have preferences that don't automatically just go with your version of your life that you wanted. And when you don't recognize that as like, okay, I had a unspoken expectation, you take offense to the opinion, the difference of opinion, and you're like, you don't want to make me happy, like, oh, so you don't care about, the things that I care about. And it's like, it's not that, it's just he has a preference, and that preference isn't my preference. So now we have to learn how to communicate through it. But that's not something I necessarily expected going into marriage, because especially we dated for as long as we did, and we were like happy, and we had gone through stuff and we made it through. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we could face. And then in marriage, we started facing things specifically regarding to unspoken expectation and our own ideas of marriage. And the beautiful thing is when you realize that, you're able to lay that definition down and then continue to build the thing that is actually real. But until you do that, you'll always be fighting for the dream that you had. Yeah. And then pointing the finger at your spouse, being like, you're the reason I don't have the dream. And it's just not beneficial. Yeah. And I think in our second year of marriage, I think it was the second year, we had some months of doing that, and it took us a second to figure out that was what was happening. At first, it just felt like we're not
clicking.
Yeah, we're not clicking. Like, we want different things. Like, what is this? And then it was like, oh, we just had different expectations. And so that was the thing that I thought of when it was like, was I expecting that in marriage?
Yeah.
But I also wasn't expecting the unity and how much of a benefit it is to have like a partner. That's not something I dreamt about. Like, people are like, I just can't wait to have a partner.
Yeah.
I'm hyper independent to a fault. So I was always like, I can't wait for somebody to cheer me on. As I do my thing.
Yeah, you stay there. I'm going to do my thing. Yeah. Thanks. I'll be back later. Mwah.
I just didn't, I didn't value that. And so I had to learn to value it. But now that I do value it, I'm seeing just how valuable it actually is, to like have somebody who is for you, we're after the same things, and it means I don't have to think about the things you're thinking about. Because I trust you that much. So that's been like the beautiful thing that I'm like, I didn't know to expect that.
I agree. It makes things so much easier. I didn't have that anticipation.
But you had it way quicker than I did.
What, let's get on the same
thing?
Oh yeah, well maybe because I come from a sports background and I understand that.
Yeah, you see sports analogies all the time. And I'm like, I don't play football. What are you talking about?
I'm like, yo, I need you.
You're like, hey, if we're running different plays, this ain't gonna work. And I'm like, what plays? What play are we running?
Yeah, but it's never. It's I forget, there's some comedian that is talking about like relationships, and he was making this analogy. It's so funny about how when you're in a relationship with someone, like they be trying to play your position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever tried to play my position.
Okay, yeah.
Like you've never been like, I'm quarterback, and I'm like, no, like you're about to go catch the ball, like I'll throw it to you, and you're like, no, let me throw it. Like we've never had that kind of thing. I think it's been more so kind of like, what play are you about to run?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And I'm like, let's just feel it out.
And I'm like, you can't do that. But like, I think we've benefited from doing a little bit of both.
Totally. And that's the beautiful part of, like, that's the benefit of marriage. Like, we're supposed to be learning from each other. Mm-hmm. And Bob Goff said one time, who's an author, the goal isn't for my spouse to look more like me or me to look more like my spouse, but for us to look more like God.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's so much of God that I see in you that I've learned and gleaned from. And thankfully, I get to look like him because of you. And I think that's where the ebb and flow is coming in.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because there's that like familiar common saying of like marriage is compromise, and I don't agree with that at all. Because like we don't compromise into the image of Christ,
right?
We're transformed into that.
Hey,
you feel me?
That's good.
You feel me? Hey, dab me up, Cameron. What's up? You feel me?
Yeah.
But you explained it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh snap! Like that's what it is, and we just like married. You know what I'm saying? Like, but no, like in all, as serious as I could be. That's really what it is. And for me, like the foundation, thank you, Holy Spirit. Cause like I feel like what we gave earlier before like this was very like superficial, carnal, really. This is like spirit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, are you submitted to the Holy Spirit? Is your partner submitted to the Holy Spirit? If that's the case, you're so solid. Because I don't know how many times I brought things before the Lord about Z. And like, I wouldn't express these things to Z. Maybe like a week or two come by and then he'd be like, hey, I've been thinking about this. Woo. And I'm just like, in the back of my mind, like, thank you, Dad. Like, you got me. You know what I mean? But I'm also not necessarily focused on you in that way, because I'm so focused on because this is like way more than enough. You know what I'm saying? This is all I need, you know what I'm saying, to focus on. Knowing that you're doing the same thing, this is going to click regardless. So that's fire. That's that right there. I'm not saying like anyone is perfect or anything like that, but like, yo, if you're submitted to the Holy Spirit and your partner's submitted to the Holy Spirit, hey, yo, you're in a great spot for real, because it's all gonna take care of itself, literally.
And he leads us into truth, right? Into all truth. So it's like the vulnerability comes from that place, the emotional intelligence comes from that place, the learning how to communicate comes from that place, all because he said, like, I have everything you need. And that includes like learning how to love him well. And he's not gonna let him down by letting me love him less than what he deserves, you know? So I like get to learn from God how to love Tav the way I'm supposed to. And that's marriage. Like, and failing to do so and having the bad attitude and not responding in love and then making it right and trying again the next time and
having grace
and community for people who can speak into I won't go into it because this episode's getting long, but there was one time where we went to dinner with a couple who was like walking with us, and I had a lot to say about Tav, and they were like, what about you?
I love that day. That was such a fire dinner.
And it's like, I wouldn't have received that from him the same way I received it from them. So that's a part of marriage that you need too, is like who's speaking into y'all's relationship before you get married and when you get married, who also are submitted to the Holy Spirit and can discern like what's happening and who are a little bit ahead of you. So anybody who's listening, we hope to be the people who are just maybe a little bit ahead of you, who are going, it's very possible, it's very doable. You have to be submitted to the Holy Spirit and get these things in order, and you can thrive. Like, in a world that says, like, you need this, this, and this to be happy, it's like you can thrive with a marriage that's just
what is it?
very
Not by strength nor by might, but my spirit alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's
real.
It's the same. Like, marriage is not outside of God.
Right.
Marriage is a direct, like, extent and reflection of God. So to do marriage without Him, it just doesn't make sense. It's like macaroni and cheese with no cheese, or noodles. Like, you just got an empty bowl.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
We've been talking a lot. Hey.
The analogy is telling us that
Bitch.
we should wrap this up.
But it is, though. Like, it's like macaroni and cheese with no cheese and no noodles. Like, you don't have anything.
You have butter, you have, condensed milk. You got a couple things. Like, if you just make macaroni and cheese with just cheese and noodles.
But I'm saying, like, if somebody gave you the see,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we gotta go.
This has been Mowry. We'll see you next time.
Please like, subscribe, share. We appreciate it. We love y'all, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Peace.